Hi everybody, I'm Todd and I hope you're having a great day. As I'm recording this video, SSL has their Fusion Stereo Image plugin on sale, so I thought I'd compare it to a free option from iZotope, their Ozone Imager 2. Let's find out if you need both or if one can get the job done. Now both SSL and iZotope are highly respected names in the audio industry, and each of these plugins allows you to adjust the width, space, and depth of your stereo image. They just go about it in a different way. The SSL Fusion plugin gives us control over stereo width, as well as a shape control that can be additionally tailored by allowing only certain frequencies to be manipulated by that function. You also get 2 trim controls for in and out, which is really nice for staging the gain. When we go over to the iZotope plugin, we have a little more simple looking interface in that we can just have a slider for stereo width up and down, but then we have a Stereoize control, which uses 2 unique models to apply a stereo effect to mono signals, but also to enhance existing stereo signals. So a little bit different approach with each one. Let's see how they work. So we can compare the 2 plugins. I went ahead and loaded up a mix in Studio One, and I created 2 buses so that we could have the Fusion Stereo Image on one and the iZotope Ozone Imager 2 on the other. I've also added up a decibel plugin to each one here using the stereo control mode so we can see a variety of the image properties and phase correlations. And we can switch back and forth to hear the difference. First thing you'll notice here is that the width control on the SSL is indicated in dB, whereas on the Ozone it's in percent. So we're not going to get like an exact one-to-one that we could level up the controls. But as we know from plugins, they rarely match anyways. So we're going to go by sound, which is really what matters here. So let's put the mix playing here. I'll let you hear both. Right now I have everything neutral, and then we'll go ahead and switch back and forth with some adjustments. At this point I hear both controlling the stereo width, but I certainly hear that the Ozone has more range of adjustment to my ears. Again, maybe more than is needed, but it does have a wider range of adjustment. I'm going to go ahead and zero out both of these controls, and we'll compare the space function on the SSL. We'll see what that does to the overall sound. Very fine nuance to the shuffle control here, but it certainly does make a difference. Again, if you're trying to dial in that last 1%, that might be useful for you. Now, another feature on the SSL is we can solo the sides. Let's hear that. That certainly makes the difference more noticeable. You can really dial a little better that way. I'm going to set maximum space and width on the SSL. And this time I'm going to look at the Stereoize function, and I'll engage it, and it has two modes. So let's go ahead. What this is going to do is to allow some additional delay to be added. So that's the maximum amount we can get for stereo width here in mode 1. Pretty significant change to my ears. And that's the maximum amount we get in mode 2. It's a lot more subtle, a lot more controlled. I think that could be usable. Kind of like the sound there. Let's go back to the SSL. I'm going to say I thought both plugins performed quite well. Again, they did things in a little different way, but I was able to get a sound that I found pleasing anyways on this mix. So now I've loaded up a rock mix, and we'll actually try vocals, bass, and guitars on this. And we'll just see again what we can do within the individual tracks, and we'll sit them in context of the overall mix.
On fire and ready to go out there, gonna tear it down. There is no one here who can stop me, never hit the ground. If it shows I'm weak inside, there is nowhere left to go. All I can do is run and hide. If it shows I'm weak inside, there is nowhere left to go. All I can do is run and hide. On fire and ready to go out there, gonna tear it down. There is no one here who can stop me, never hit the ground. If it shows I'm weak inside, there is nowhere left to go. All I can do.
That's where mode 1 just starts to sound a little too artificial for my ears, but let's try mode 2.
On fire and ready to go out there, gonna tear it down. There is no one here.
Some more usable range to my ears.
Never hit the ground. If it shows I'm weak inside, there is nowhere left to go. All I can do is run and hide. On fire and ready to go out there, gonna tear it down. There is no one here who can stop me, never hit the ground. If it shows I'm weak inside, there is nowhere left to go. All I can do is run and hide.
On vocals, I'm getting a little more sense that the iZotope plugin is affecting the vocal a little more than the Fusion is. But again, that's different, not necessarily to say one is better than the other. Let's go ahead and check out bass. Again, there's no difference with the width control by itself, but when we add Stereoize on, that's now adding stereo width to the bass. Kind of an excessive amount. Even more excessive there. Move the bass out into the mix a little bit with this one. So that's the difference here again with one to the other. With that Stereoize feature on the iZotope, it does something a little different for you. Now we'll go ahead on guitars. Again, pushing it out to an excess. Now I've rearranged a few things to make it easier here to compare each within the context of the mix. So you'll see I've added the plugins up here to the guitar and to the voice stem. I have only one bus now that has a decibel meter on it. So let's go ahead and listen. We'll start out here with the guitar stem. Switching over to the iZotope. Okay, so both plugins, if you drive them to extreme, they're very apparent on the guitars and the mix. I do think that the SSL Fusion was a little easier to sit into the mix, so it wasn't quite as extreme as the push on the iZotope. But again, you could dial both of them in. Now we'll do the same thing. I'll just shut those off on the guitars and we'll move over to vocals. Definitely find that mode 2 a little more workable here on the iZotope. Now that we've had a chance to test both plugins on a few tracks in a mix, I'll give you my final thoughts. First of all, I thought both performed very well, albeit in a different way, and the results certainly had some nuances to them. So depending on how detailed your requirements are, you may or may not need both plugins to get where you're trying to go. Now, what I like about the SSL Fusion is really how even the controls are, how smooth the adjustment is across the entire range, and I did find having that additional shuffle control for the frequencies to be kind of an interesting feature to add in here. Now, on the other hand, the iZotope plugin is really high quality and it is free. That's an amazing thing. And overall, it had quite a range of control. I'm going to say more so than the SSL Fusion plugin. Now, depending on how much is usable is also a factor of how creative you want to be in the sound you're trying to achieve. But definitely they had some different things to bring to the table. So I'm going to say again, it really comes down to whether you need that nuanced difference between the two or whether one is going to get the job done for you. Now, if you're looking for other ways to level up your mixing or music production, check out one of the videos on the screen. I do appreciate you joining me today. I've had a good time and I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.